Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Daikaiser deck profile. This is, you could say, the new encounter deck from the 9th Cardfight Vanguard Divines booster set, being a completely different Dimension Police Brant Gate deck, focusing still on the Dimensional Robo units, but with the main unit being the D-Legion Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser. This unit legions with the original Daikaiser from standard format. So we finally have Legion in the Cardfight Vanguard standard series, a very awesome deck that focuses on some of the newer units for the Daikaiser series as the main focus of the deck, but still very happy to bring you all the updates. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck. For starters, we have the energy generator, with our starter being a new grade 0 Dimensional Robo Kaiser. When wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Dimensional Robo Kaiser grade. When it's placed on Vanguard, search your deck for up to one base card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle the deck. So the one card that remains the same is the base unit, Super Dimensional Fortress Die Base. So being able to search it just off of the grade 1, and then also the added setup of when it's placed on rear guard by your soul from your card's ability. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Daikaiser in its card name, all your Vanguards get +5 till end of turn. Just building up the power of your Vanguard thanks to this unit. Our grade 2 is Dimensional Robo Kaiser. On the Vanguard circle once per turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 2 or greater, discard a card from your hand. Choose up to one Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser from your ride deck. Ride it as stood. If you wrote a card, you cannot ride cards without Dimensional Robo in their card name until the end of this fight, but still, it helps to give you a head start on the ride against your opponent by being able to then go into your Daikaiser. And when it's wrote upon by a grade 3 with Daikaiser, you may call this card to rear guard. And on rear guard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Daikaiser in its card name, this card gets boost. So added boost power to some of the bigger rear guards we could potentially call out. And then the grade 3 for the ride deck being the Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser. Finally having this card in standard format, because I know this is definitely a fan favorite grade 3, especially for the Dimensional Robos. So with it, it's just the setup for our Legion in the deck. So then additionally, along with the copy in the ride deck, we're also running 3 copies in the main deck as well. On the Vanguard circle, it has D-Legion with Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit may choose up to 2 trigger units other than heal and over trigger, and cards other than trigger units for a total of 4 cards from the drop, and then return them to the deck. Search your deck for the specified card, D-Legion, and then those cards lose their Persona Ride icons while they are in D-Legion. So Legion basically means you place the other unit as its mate on the Vanguard circle. So both of the units share the Vanguard circle and then have the additional combined power on the Vanguard circle as well. With the mate being Daikaiser, you will search the deck for it. So potentially you can shuffle back Daikaiser to be one of the units if it's in the drop zone for the setup of this card. And on the Vanguard circle once per turn, when this unit attacks, if you did not boost this battle, Energy Blast 3 until the end of the battle this unit gets on Vanguard at the beginning of your drive step, choose up to one of your opponent's guardians other than over trigger and retire it. If your bind zone does not have a Dimensional Robo Kaiser, bind a Dimensional Robo Kaiser from your soul, and it gets on the Vanguard circle when your opponent's unit is retired from the guard circle by this unit's ability. All that unit's effects and with cannot be hit are nullified. So this is the way to take away the power of the Sentinel from the unit that was placed on the Vanguard circle. The only thing you can't take away is the power of the over trigger, which, you know, with a 50k guard, it's understandable since it's like a once per game investment for the guard, but still being able to stop a Sentinel is all the better as long as you have your core Kaiser in the soul to then be able to remove. We're also running the 2 copies of the original Super Dimensional Robo Daikaiser. It had an updated text as well for the reprinted set also for this unit, but you really don't need to know any of the abilities aside from the shared Vanguard circle. We don't run the Goyusha option for the deck, but we do have the Counterblast 1, draw a card. If your opponent's Vanguard is greater 3 or greater, choose any number of your units with Dimensional Robo, and they get +5 to end of turn, which, like I said, the D-Legion skills are shared, so you can use the additional setup for your other Vanguard as well. And then for the other grade 3s, we do want to run 4 copies of Super Dimensional Robo Shadow Kaiser. I just have one original Daisha as a spot holder for the 4th copy of this card. From the drop zone, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Daikaiser in its card name, you do not ride this turn. Soul Blast 1, bind this card, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 card with Daikaiser in its card name, ride it as stand, and shuffle the deck. So Shadow Kaiser can help just to give you your potential Persona ride before you go into the D Legion. And on rear guard, if you have a grade 3 Vanguard with Daikaiser in its card name, this unit gets +5. If your Aura Zone has 3 or more bases, it gets +10 instead of +5, which once again, we have the full max power for the die bases in the deck as well for the added plus power. And from the rear guard or hand at the beginning of your guard step of the battle that your Vanguard with Dimensional Robo was attacked, put this card to the drop, choosing unit being attacked, and it gets +10 to the end of the battle. So while it doesn't have the guard, circle shield, it does have just an additional +10 power for the end of that battle. It's just giving that unit that additional power instead of an actual guard. And then also for the rest of the grade 3s, 3 copies of Super Dimensional Robo Die Wing. When this unit's placed on the rear guard from hand with this card, if you have a Vanguard with Dimensional Robo in its card name, Energy Blast 3, choose up to 1 card with Dimensional Robo with a different card name from this card from your soul, call it to rear guard, and at the end of that turn, put that card called back into the soul. So this is also why we went over the Kaiser grade skill on the rear guard, because this card could potentially be the way to call it back out to the rear guard with this ability. And then on the rear guard or the guard circle, if your Aura Zone has a base, it gets +5. If it has 3 or more, it gets +5 power and +5 shield, active on the opponent's turn as well. Just added shield for both, making it a potential 10k guard from the guard circle if need be when you have your bases set up. For the grade 2s, we're running 4 copies of Super Dimensional Robo Die Lady. With this card, when it's placed on rear guard, if you have a Vanguard with Dimensional Robo in its card name, Counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 base, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle the deck, and when it attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, if your Aura Zone has 2 or more bases, it gets +10. So just being able to search out our die bases with another grade 2 is a big help to set up the order, which we'll go over in just a bit. And another grade 2 new one for the deck being our Dimensional Robo Die Wrecking. When it's placed on rear guard, if you have a Vanguard with Dimensional Robo in its card name, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or greater card with Dimensional Robo in its card name, or up to 1 set order from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle the deck. If you revealed a card, choose a card from your hand and put it into the soul or discard it. So more setup for that search power on top of the rear guard or guard circle. If you have a grade 3 greater Vanguard with Dimensional Robo and your Aura Zone has a base, it gets +5 power and +5 shield, which a lot of these cards share that added defense for you to be able to protect your Vanguard all the better with more cards. For the grade 1s, we're running 2 copies of Dimensional Robo Die Battles. From the soul, if your Vanguard Dimensional Robo Die Dragon is your opponent's Vanguard, mostly you're just going to use this for when it's placed on the rear guard from soul by your card's ability. If you have a grade 3 greater Vanguard with Daisha in its card name, your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, your opponent's Vanguard's original critical becomes 2 until the end of that battle. So this is just to set up more pressure for your Vanguard against your opponent with that topped critical against them when attacking with your Daikaiser. And then also the 3 copies of Glory Maker. If you have a Vanguard with only 1 clan and your G-Zone has no cards, it gets all the following from the drop. When your Vanguard with grade 3 or greater is placed, if you do not have a rear guard with the same name as this one, you can call it to the back row rear guard. And when it boosts, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you may have your opponent get the ability your opponent cannot play blitz orders, or when your opponent would call cards from the guard circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. So this is just to help restrict your opponent's guard circle on top of the retire effect that your Daikaiser will share when going up against your opponent. And then the rest of the grade 1s just being the Sentinel lineup, the 4 Strogomars. If you have Elementary Sanctitude, you can always replace 1 copy of the Sentinel for the copy of that Blitz order. And then for our orders, we're running 4 copies of Super Dimensional Fortress Die Base. On the order zone, if you have a Vanguard with Dimensional Robo, rest this card, Energy Charge 1, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card with Dimensional Robo from your drop, and put it into the soul. If it was put into the order zone this turn, you may search your deck instead of choosing from the drop and put that card into the soul. And if you have a Vanguard with Dimensional Robo, so Energy Blast 2, rest this card, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card with Dimensional Robo, it's card in from your soul, and call it to rear guard, which helps to then set up the cards like Die Battles from your soul, because then you can give your Vanguard the additional critical thanks to this order from the order zone. And then lastly for the orders, 2 copies of Freezing Wave, just another way to make use of our set orders by resting them, and then having our unit being attacked for plus 10,000 for each set order rest in our order zone, whether we use the setup or the call out ability. The more orders we have set up, the stronger our Freezing Wave will be just for the cost of the Soul Blast. And then for the trigger lineup, we're going with the 8 critical, just for the added pressure of Daikaiser on top of the additional power and, Guardian retirement that it can do. For the Vanguard attack, the 3 copies of Cardinal Draco Imperio for the plus power to the front row, and then 4 copies of Alter Rate Sphere Dragon, just for the generic heal of choice, and our over trigger being Eldo Breath. Really no reason not to run this trigger in the deck. It's just really, really good for that added pressure that your Vanguard can provide. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. Once again, probably the fan favorite deck from the Set 9 booster pack, and definitely an awesome encounter deck at that. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.